With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
The Who's Down in Who Newville were making their list, but some didn't know Walmart has the best brands for their gifts.
What about toys? Do they have brands kids have been wanting all year?
Yep, Barbie, Tony's, and Lego. Gifts that will make them all cheer.
Do you mean they have all the brands I adore?
They have Nintendo, Nespresso, Apple, and more.
What about...
So the Who answered questions from friends till they were blue. Each one listened and shouted, from Walmart? Who knew? Shop gifts from top brands for everyone on your list in the Walmart app.
And away we go, episode 1216 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Thursday, December 11th, 2025. You know, we on this podcast do not preach violence. We preach peace, unity, harmony. But if the Washington Commanders' nightmare of a 2025 season was a person, an evil, no good person, would you not want to punch that person in the face? I mean, seriously, how much do we all hate this Commander season? I can't emphasize enough how much I have come to despise this Commander season. That's a big part of why I'm doing Operation Lose Out 2.0. And Operation Lose Out 2.0 got a big boost on Wednesday afternoon as head coach Dan Quinn, during his pre-practice press conference, surprisingly revealed that quarterback Jayden Daniels is out for the team's game at the New York Giants this Sunday afternoon at 1. It turns out that Daniels and the Commanders' 31-0 loss at the Minnesota Vikings this past Sunday afternoon, in his return from a 3-game absence caused by a dislocated left elbow, did hurt the elbow enough to where he's now out for at least another game. No structural damage, that's good, but he's out again. He'll be out for a 7th time in 14 games for the Commanders in the NFL's 2025 regular season. Hello and welcome to this Thursday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Next segment, in-depth discussion of this latest bad development for Jayden Daniels, including Dan Quinn not dismissing the notion of the team shutting down Daniels for the rest of the season. Is that where we're headed? Has Jayden Daniels played his last game this season? The following segment, a breakdown of the Commanders' initial injury report for the game at the Giants, conversation about the ramifications of the Commanders on Wednesday morning placing tight end Zach Ertz on the reserve/injured list, a key point about receiver Chris Moore, and a look at the biggest positive for the Commanders this season. Yes, a positive, their offensive line. And also on the show, reaction to and analysis of the big move by the Baltimore Orioles on the final day of the 2025 MLB winter meetings, which took place in Orlando, Florida. We on Wednesday afternoon had reports that the O's have agreed with free agent first baseman Pete Alonso on a 5-year, $155 million contract. I know that a lot of you are pumped about this. This is the only podcast or show in the Washington, D.C. area that regularly talks O's, because this podcast does not pretend like there aren't still a lot of O's fans in the D.C. area. From ESPN MLB insider Jeff Passan in a post on X on Wednesday afternoon, quote, "The Baltimore Orioles might have the best lineup in baseball, whatever order Craig Albernaz chooses. He's got Gunnar Henderson, Pete Alonso, Jordan Westberg, Taylor Ward, Adley Rutschman, Jackson Holliday, Sam Basayo, Dylan Beavers, and Colton Cowser, a wrecking crew," end quote. Now, also at the winter meetings on Wednesday was the 2025 Rule 5 draft, and man, were the Washington Nationals busy in that draft. The Nats selected right-handed starting pitcher Griff McGarry in the first round of the 2025 MLB Rule 5 draft, and the Nats in the minor league phase of the 2025 Rule 5 draft took an MLB-high 6 players. The Nats' new president of baseball operations, Paul Taboni, restocking the Nats' inventory of prospects. So this guy, Griff McGarry, is intriguing taking, he's an older prospect. He's entering his age 27 season, was taken by the Philadelphia Phillies in the 5th round of the 2021 MLB first-year player draft out of the University of Virginia. He's a very good strikeout pitcher, but his command is a problem. McGarry, over 5 seasons in the Phillies minor league system, had a strikeouts per 9 innings of 13.2. That's excellent, but also a walks per 9 innings of 6.3. That is quite bad. But this guy was named the Phillies 2025 Minor League Pitcher of the Year. The Nats taking McGarry marked them taking at least one player in the Rule 5 draft for a 4th consecutive year. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. It is Spotify rap season. I will gladly read Spotify rap notes regarding this podcast from people who are loyal listeners. From Craig on X, writes Craig, the Al Galdi podcast got my top spot. Thank you for that, Craig. From Jim D on X, writes Jim, AG3 reigns supreme once again. Thank you for that, Jim. Yes, I am AG3. I am Al Galdi III. From RZ on X, writes RZ, the Al Galdi podcast got my top spot, top 11%. Thank you for that, RZ. Email from Brennan Storms. He notes that this podcast got his top spot and that he is among the top 13% of the listeners of this podcast on Spotify. Thank you for that, Brennan. Much appreciated. Email from Thomas in New York on Dan Quinn. Writes Thomas, Al, thanks for keeping us up to date on the Commanders. I can no longer listen to DQ stumble through press conferences, trying to stay committed to Tell the Truth Monday when he is struggling so hard not to savage his players or fellow coaches. However, I have picked up on a few of his verbal cues. When he talks about something in that space, he generally is hedging on the truth a bit. Also, not to be politically incorrect, but when he talks as if he is a valley girl, saying like a lot, he is stressed out. The more likes, he says, the greater the stress. He liked his way through the press conference right before he demoted Joe Wood Jr. and must have said like 50 times. That being said, I do not believe that Dan Quinn should be fired just yet. We need to see how he bounces back after this disaster. Thanks again. Well, thank you for the email, Thomas. The phrase in that space, 100% is the number one go-to phrase for Dan Quinn. He loves that phrase. He uses that phrase a ton. What's interesting to me about the heavy usage of the word like is this. So Thomas mentioned heavy usage of the word like being a valley girl thing. What is a valley girl? The phenomenon of the valley girl goes back to the 1980s. I remember seeing this in movies and television shows as a little kid. I read to you from Wikipedia, quote, a valley girl is the stereotype of a materialistic upper-middle-class young woman associated with unique vocal and California dialect features from the Los Angeles commuter communities of the San Fernando Valley, a youth subcultural identity and stock character in American popular media. It originated in and is most associated with the 1980s and 1990s, end quote. Using the word like a lot started with kids and teenagers in the 1980s. Well, how old is Dan Quinn? He's 55. He, in the 1980s, was a kid and teenager. And something that I've noticed is that people who now are in their 40s and 50s use the word like a good bit because these people were kids and teenagers in the 1980s. I think that I probably use the word like a good bit. I'm younger than Dan Quinn. I'm 45. We'll turn 46 this Saturday, but I'm pretty sure that I say like a good bit. The Valley Girl trend of heavy usage of the word like has not died. The trend has aged with the generations the trend initially impacted. I find that interesting. Another 1980s/1990s style thing that Dan Quinn does is wear baseball hats backward. That's one of his staples, right? Wearing baseball hats backward. That absolutely is a 1980s/1990s style thing. That became a big deal during Ken Griffey Jr.'s time as a center fielder for the Seattle Mariners, and Griffey became a big deal in the late 80s/early 90s. Dan Quinn, a product of his generation, no doubt. Cash App. It is the best way to make sure that your financial transactions are safe. You this holiday season can stay one step ahead of scams and keep your money secure with Cash App. Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert you for unusual card activity should someone gain access to your card, so you can act fast if something seems off. You also can lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. And if you're about to send money to someone for a deal that's too good to be true, and Cash App flags the deal as a potential scam, Cash App will warn you before you send the money. Cash App is here for you, and for a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use Cash App's exclusive code to earn some additional cash for real. Just download Cash App. Use the exclusive referral code SECURE10 in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partner or partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures.
I'm a high note hitting songbird, but I'm also a bird-watching backpacker.
Oh, wood thrush, 3 o'clock.
Walmart has a wellness side too, with tons of things I need to feel good, from electrolytes to help keep me hydrated to soothing cough drops for after every show.
Oh, man. How about waterproof boots? Size 10?
They've got 500 million things online, on the app, and in store.
Really? Who knew? Okay, was that you or the birds?
Check out the wellness side of Walmart today.
I love giving gifts, and the holidays are the perfect excuse to show everyone I care for just how much they mean to me. Family, friends, and most importantly, the babysitter. 1-800-Flowers makes it easy with on-trend, one-of-a-kind Christmas gifts that bring smiles to every doorstep. From festive peppermint bouquets to cozy holiday plants, I can find something special for all the people I love. Right now, get up to 40% off Christmas bestsellers at 1-800-Flowers.com/SXM. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/SXM to save up to 40% off.
Hey, please consider subscribing to the podcast if you're not already doing that. Subscribing to the podcast costs nothing. Make sure that you never miss an episode and helps out the podcast a lot. And if you're already subscribing, thank you. Never in sports say that things can't get worse. Things in sports can always get worse, and things for the Washington Commanders in their nightmare of a 2025 regular season now are worse. Their QB1, Jayden Daniels, is injured again and is out for the team's game at the New York Giants this Sunday afternoon at 1. Daniels, in the Commanders' 31-0 loss at the Minnesota Vikings this past Sunday afternoon, returned from a 3-game absence caused by a dislocated left elbow. He and the loss at the Vikings hurt the elbow, causing him to leave the game. He did not go back into the game, but head coach Dan Quinn, during his postgame press conference on Sunday afternoon, said that Daniels could have gone back into the game, but Quinn decided not to put Daniels back in the game. The Commanders on Monday announced that Daniels was scheduled to do the starting quarterback post-practice press conference on Wednesday afternoon, and Quinn, during his day after the game press conference on Monday afternoon, said that there with Daniels was soreness, but also that there were no long-term concerns. It was looking like Jayden Daniels would be good to go for this game at the Giants this Sunday afternoon. But this was Dan Quinn during the opening statement of his pre-practice press conference on Wednesday afternoon on Jayden Daniels.
He did re-aggravate his elbow injury in the game. No structural setbacks. However, through the medical evaluations, over the last couple of days, including this morning, doctors advised us we hold him this Sunday. And so Marcus will start. And we're really bummed for Jayden. Like, he is working incredibly hard to get back on the field with his guys. And so tough deal. He's absolutely going for it. So wanted to get that out as we got started, and glad to open up to you guys and get rolling as we get ready for the Giants.
Okay, so hideous news. Jayden Daniels out due to injury again. This is so frustrating for everyone, including, of course, Daniels himself. I am sure that he, like all of us, hates this season so much. He now is set to be out for the 7th time in 14 games for the Commanders in the NFL's 2025 regular season. Just brutal. Now, What about the fact that Dan Quinn, during his postgame press conference this past Sunday afternoon, said that Daniels could have gone back into the game? We, on Wednesday afternoon, had this exchange between Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic and Quinn.
I just want to clarify one thing. You said after the game that he could have gone back in.
Correct.
So this was discovered further imaging on Monday?
Yeah, the imaging was good, so there's no structural setbacks. But just like most players, you talk to them on a Sunday, and then again, what Monday feels like, and not quite the same of swelling or strength and those things to go into it. So it was confirmed no structural in the evaluation at the game, and then again this week.
So, Jayden Daniels' final play in the loss at the Vikings, the interception, 4th and 3 for the Commanders at the Vikings 19 with 8:24 left in the third quarter. Daniels was intercepted by edge defender Andrew Van Ginkel, who generated a 40-yard return. Daniels took a shotgun snap, and while being pressured, had his pass tipped by Van Ginkel, who then caught the ball. Daniels, while chasing Van Ginkel on the return, got shoved to the ground by cornerback Isaiah Rodgers, and Daniels landed on his left arm. Daniels, after the play, was clutching his left arm. And all of this happened on a play to which Daniels checked. We talked about that with Commanders analyst Mark Bullock on Wednesday's show, episode 1215. We, on Wednesday afternoon, had this back and forth with Dan Quinn.
I know the initial injury was a dislocation. Can you provide any other information on what happened to aggravate it? Whether it was like another
landing on it, like full on,
like a bruise or like a. I guess the question is, did he re-dislocate it?
No. Yes, there's no structural setbacks at all. So just sometimes the heavy hit of something can, cause, a re-aggravation, but no setback. So there's no dislocation of that. The structural part is good, but obviously, the one thing you don't want to do is land directly on it. And so, what's that, Murphy's Law or something like that? Like the one thing that can't happen. And so, there's no structural setbacks. So I want to make sure I was super clear on that.
Okay. And then obviously it was kind of fluky that he was chasing down a guy after an interception. As a coach, are you good with him doing that? Do you like seeing him try to make a play, or would you prefer that he not?
Fortunately, it's not a scenario we're in a lot with him. So I'm super thankful for that. And, it's not something that we, practice a whole lot or techniques of that. And so you get blocked, some as a, person that's going after, but the guy's a competitive player, and we're not going to live our whole life scared. I can promise you that, but we're going to do everything and all the time, great decisions for him, for the team, and where we're at. But I'm fortunate that we don't talk about a play like that a lot.
Okay, so good news that Jayden Daniels has suffered no structural setback with his previously dislocated left elbow, but he is out again. And I tell you, Dan Quinn mentioning Murphy's Law. Yeah, this entire Commander season has been the ultimate example of Murphy's Law. There was another aspect to the bad Jayden Daniels news on Wednesday afternoon. Dan Quinn did not dismiss the notion of shutting down Daniels for the rest of the season. We, on Wednesday afternoon, had this exchange between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Dan Quinn.
Do you anticipate him coming back this season, and what's, again, the value, I guess, with all three of them?
Well, I know that's why I wanted to come out. He's going to be out this week. He'll practice as we're going in a limited fashion. But let's see where we're at next week. We're always going to make the best decisions, John, for him, for the team, what the medical, opinions are. So we just wanted to give you that information today, and then we can work into next week.
So Dan Quinn on the notion of shutting down Jayden Daniels for the rest of the season, quote, "Let's see where we're at next week," end quote. Quinn previously, when addressing this topic, had said that the team hadn't even discussed shutting down Daniels for the rest of the season. But Quinn on Wednesday afternoon, quote, "Let's see where we're at next week," end quote. More on this topic. We, on Wednesday afternoon, had this exchange between 7 News DC sports director Scott Abraham and Dan Quinn.
Hey, Dan, over the last couple of weeks, you've kind of discussed with us the benefit of Jayden playing. You know, if he's healthy, why should he continue to play? Right. How about flip it? Do you see any benefit of him not playing at all this year? If he's healthy, shutting him down, do you see any benefit in that?
Sure, I recognize the question. It's an easy one to go, and we haven't really gone down that road yet to decide. He's out this week, and he's working hard to get back. But as far as what decisions are ahead, like we just haven't gone down that road. He's working incredibly hard to get back with the guys. So, we're really bummed they got re-aggravated on this specific injury going into it. Thought he had a good week. There were things to improve upon into the game to get started, but we haven't gone down all the way yet. We just kind of went through the first evaluations this week to get ready to play. So I'll have a better update as we're moving forward.
I have said that I do not want the Commanders to shut down Jayden Daniels for the rest of the season if he's truly healthy. I haven't wanted him playing if he's only say 70 or 80% healthy. I have wanted him playing if he's truly healthy. Well, he right now clearly isn't truly healthy, and yeah, you do have to wonder if he at any point the rest of this season will be truly healthy. Much more on this in moments, but if you are planning a wedding or you know someone who is, check out or have that person check out cateringbyuptown.com. Catering by Uptown delivers not just delicious food of the highest quality, but also a flawless and memorable experience tailored to your special day. Catering by Uptown's team is dedicated to meeting your every need with elegance and precision. And if you visit cateringbyuptown.com and click on venues, you can set up your own personal tour of one of Catering by Uptown's premier venues, including outstanding waterfront venues. So also, Catering by Uptown is great for parties, so whether a birthday, an anniversary, a retirement, or a charity gala, Catering by Uptown understands that special events deserve to be celebrated in style. Catering by Uptown takes care of every detail so that you can enjoy your event. Catering by Uptown is a family business. It is run by the Pereiras, who are great Commanders fans and loyal supporters of this podcast. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. That's cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. I always enjoy hearing from you. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. From District Sports Talk on X writes District Sports Talk. I'd sit Jayden, man. He's very clearly not 100% and likely won't be for a few weeks minimum. You don't think defenders are going to target that left arm? I want Jayden to go into the offseason fully healthy. What are we talking about here? Thank you for that District Sports Talk. Email from Doug Wilson. Writes Doug, hey Al, I wouldn't expect you to read this on the air because this is a real downer, but I tell you, man, this whole Jayden thing is so disturbing. Honestly, when he is out there with these offensive players, I just don't enjoy it. Why? Because it's so clear that his body type and the way that he plays just aren't a good match. I basically cringe on every snap that he drops back or scrambles, just expecting him to get hurt now. It's a terrible feeling, and I just don't know what we've all done to deserve this. Drake May, rock solid. Thank you for the email, Doug. The number one reason that I wanted the Commanders with the number 2 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft to take Drake May over Jayden Daniels was my concern about Daniels' body holding up, given his body type and playing style. I really liked each guy as an NFL quarterback prospect. I don't know how you couldn't. The separator for me was my concern about Daniels' body holding up, given his body type and playing style, and we'll just have to see. What encourages me about Daniels' long-term durability is that his overall history is one of durability. He over 5 seasons as a collegiate QB1 was durable. He, during his all-time great rookie season last season, was durable. So maybe, hopefully, this season is just some bizarre aberration in a season in which the Commanders are having some of the worst injury luck that you'll ever see a team have. But it is concerning how Daniels this season just cannot stay healthy. He has played in just 7 of the Commanders' 13 games in this regular season due to 3 different injuries: a left knee injury, a right hamstring injury, and a dislocated left elbow. He has left 4 of the 7 games in which he has played due to getting hurt. As Doug said, there this season now is almost an expectation that Daniels is going to get hurt, and that's a terrible feeling to have. But this is part of why I want him to continue to play if he's truly healthy. I don't want him playing if he's, kind of sort of healthy. No, I want him playing if he's truly healthy. But he needs to further develop as a quarterback, including development regarding how to take proper care of himself when playing. It's a funny thing. The reason for him not to keep playing, the injury concern, actually is a reason for him to keep playing because he has an ultra-mobile NFL quarterback, needs further development regarding how to take proper care of himself when playing. Jayden Daniels, prior to his 3-game absence caused by the dislocated left elbow, was number 1 in the NFL over the 2024 regular season, last postseason, and this regular season in most times contacted while rushing or passing per ESPN. Quarterback contact 322. Number 2 is Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts at 318, and a lot of his contact, of course, is via tush-push plays. I'm guessing that Daniels no longer is number 1 given that he missed the 3 games, but you get the idea. He takes a lot of quarterback contact. That needs to be lessened. He needs to work on lessening that, and the best work that he can get in that regard is by actually playing in games. Also, there's this issue of him scrambling. He is scrambling a lot, probably too much. Daniels for the 2024 regular season was number 1 among all qualified NFL quarterbacks in scramble rate per Sumer Sports, 12.17%. Daniels for this regular season through Week 14 is number 1 among all qualified NFL quarterbacks in scramble rate per Sumer Sports, 15.57%. A friend of this podcast, Stephen Ruiz, NFL analyst and quarterback ranker for The Ringer, he and his Week 14 QB notebook, which came out on Tuesday morning, had this, quote, "Of all of the concerning statistics attached to Daniels' sophomore slump, and yes, he's officially in that territory at this point, this one might be the most worrisome. Daniels' scrambling rate is up by 3 percentage points over last season. That's a number Washington wanted to bring down after Daniels scrambled on nearly 13% of his dropbacks as a rookie. His scramble rate is up to 15.7% in 2025. Now, if Daniels were doing a better job of protecting himself while running, this would be less of an issue. While the knock that took him out of the Vikings game on Sunday didn't come on a scramble, he has been exposing himself to a lot of needless hits. According to Pro Football Focus, Daniels has slid just 4 times on 41 scrambles, end quote. Now that stat, just 4 slides over 41 scrambles, can be misleading because it doesn't account for stepping out of bounds. But yeah, there is a theme here, and I have never been a fan of the thing that Daniels does where he just falls down forward. That to me almost always looks awkward. We on Wednesday afternoon had this exchange with Dan Quinn.
Coach, just back to Jayden for a second. Sure. On a lot of his runs, you could see when he's sort of done running, giving himself up, he's trying to fight for extra yards, and a lot of times I'll notice he sort of dives forward or head first. Do you mind that, or would you rather see maybe more like a base runner slide, or does that matter at all?
No, it's a great question, and it's a common one. So there's 2 different ways that you can give yourself up. If you're diving, they begin the spot where it is, and it's roll to a side and dive that way. Either way, the protection is there. You're giving yourself up with the dive or with the slide. So both of them are techniques, and just matters where you're at, what you feel more comfortable with. But it's pretty common both ways when you're giving yourself up. If you're not and you're straining for yards just straight away, then that's a whole different topic. But as far as the play's over, I'm a slide or dive. Those are both effective ways to do it, and sometimes it's to one side this way, to my left that way, and that's pretty common for a lot of the QBs.
Okay, so what about all of this missed time for Jayden Daniels? He, via being out for this game at the Giants, will have been out for 7 of the Commanders' 14 games in this just his 2nd NFL regular season. He will have missed half of the team's games this regular season. These are crucial reps, crucial experiences that he's being robbed of. His development is being delayed. We on Wednesday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Howard Fenrich of the Associated Press and Dan Quinn.
How would you say that the time he's missing, the playing time, the game time Jayden's missing this year, has affected his development in his 2nd year in the league?
Yeah, any player, it's really important. And at quarterback, the reps, are significant because there's like so many things that happen, on a play, where it can go, what's the check, what's the look. It's different than maybe a technique at another spot. So I would think most quarterbacks would say that there's a lot of value in the reps that they get and what they do. And some are practice, some aren't. It's the scramble to, keep my eyes downfield. It's this coverage that can go to a certain look. So all of those are valuable for sure.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about when we talk about development. More on this issue. We on Wednesday afternoon had this exchange with Dan Quinn.
And Coach, just looking back to last week, we know that Jayden had the great practice and that he was trending in the right direction and such. Why was it important that he did get back on the field with his teammates and look to lead his squad?
Yeah, there's so much to gain from playing, and I think Howard was saying that earlier about reps. And at that point, we were probably talking about 30% of the season to go and to gain experience, and so all of that matters in your development. Like, we're looking to keep developing him for a really long time. And so if there was a chance to improve over these next, games ahead, like, we were going to go after that as hard as we could, knowing that it would pay dividends in the future. And so when you have a setback like that happen, obviously, we're bummed for him, we're bummed for us. And, that's the one thing you didn't want to happen, happened. So now we'll, move into this week. Marcus will be the starter, but we're pleased with where it was going into the game, him coming back and being ready.
When it comes to Dan Quinn and the loss at the Vikings not putting Jayden Daniels back into the game, so obviously that decision now looks even better. I, in the moment, had no problem with Quinn not putting Daniels back in the game, and so I have been surprised by the criticism of Quinn for not putting Daniels back in the game. I've heard a decent amount of criticism of Quinn for not putting Daniels back in the game. Quinn got killed for still having Daniels in the game in which he suffered the dislocated left elbow, the 38-14 loss to the Seattle Seahawks at Northwest Stadium on Sunday Night Football on November 2nd. Well, Quinn this past Sunday afternoon kept Daniels from returning in what was a blowout loss, and Quinn is getting criticism for that. I don't get that. The score at the time of Jayden Daniels in the loss at the Vikings hurting his left elbow was 14-0, then moved up to 17-0 upon the ensuing Vikings offensive possession. Now, we were only in the third quarter. That is true, but killing Quinn for being cautious with Daniels off him having just gotten hurt again, off killing Quinn for what happened in the loss to the Seahawks seems incongruent. Like, do you want Quinn to err on the side of caution with Daniels, or don't you? We on Wednesday afternoon had this back and forth between Commanders insider Ben Standing of Last Man Standing on Substack and Dan Quinn.
Dan, if I'm gathering you right, so it sounds like Jayden was saying the day after or so that there was some sort of discomfort and that led to more testing.
No, we knew there was going to be testing from the re-aggravation, but if you ask any player that what you feel like in-game to post-game or Monday, it's usually significantly different.
In the real time, you weren't sure exactly if there was some sort of re-aggravation. So the decision to keep him out, how much did what happened previously in the Seattle game weigh on you in making that call?
It didn't weigh on me. Just where we were in the game, it wasn't going like we wanted, and I thought this is the best call right here. And so it wasn't a difficult one that I wrestled with in that spot. Like I said, I'm just going to make the best decision for him and the team. So they did the evaluation. It was correct. There weren't any, structural setbacks. He wasn't happy about it. But I thought, hey, this is the best decision right now. And I'll continue to do that, whether it was him or anybody else in that spot.
And to that end, I don't know the exact moment you decided for him to not come back, but it was still, I think, the third quarter, 17-0. In a normal world, that's not a game that a team would say, hey, this is not going right.
Yep.
What does that say, I guess, about your thoughts on where this team is right now that you decided? That
it was specific to the game. Specific to the game. It may have felt 17-0. It didn't feel like 17-0 to me.
It didn't feel like 17-0, but however you want to process that score in the third quarter, I'm not mad at Dan Quinn for keeping Jayden Daniels out for the rest of the game. And again, that decision now looks even better. Here is an outstanding book for you if you're a Washington fan or for a Washington fan who you care about this holiday season. RFK All Access by Scott Cunningham, who served as a photographer for NFL properties for years and who photographed the Redskins extensively during their glory days in the 1980s and early 1990s. Scott, via RFK All Access, has put together a compilation of his best Redskins photos, many of which are behind-the-scenes photos. Joe Gibbs, Jack Kent Cook, Richie Pettibone, the Hogs, the Posse, Sonny Sam and Frank, all and so many more are featured in this book, which is 392 pages of glorious Skins history, 5 pounds of Redskins gold. If you are a serious Washington fan, if you are a Skins historian, this book is a must-have. Makes for a terrific addition to any Skins-themed man cave. Also makes for a great gift. I have the book. It is sensational. Heck, this is a book that has been endorsed by Joe Gibbs himself. Quote, "This is a great book filled with great memories," end quote. Also, the book now is available in ebook form, and the book now is available for an all-time low price. Take advantage of this special holiday season sale. RFK All Access. You can get the book by visiting rfkallaccess.com. And when you order the book, mention in the notes section that Al Galdi sent you. Doing that helps out this podcast a lot. That's rfkallaccess.com. rfkallaccess.com. And mention that Al Galdi sent you. More now on the 3-10 Washington Commanders, off them on Wednesday afternoon practicing for their game at the 2-11 New York Giants this Sunday afternoon at 1 in Week 15 of the NFL's 2025 regular season. 3-10 Commanders at the 2-11 Giants. 5 Commanders offensive players were on the team's injury report for Wednesday afternoon's practice. Quarterback Jayden Daniels actually was a limited participant in practice, so he did practice some, even though he's not playing in this game. Running back Chris Rodriguez Jr. did not practice due to a groin injury. Receiver Noah Brown was a full participant in practice, but was on the injury report due to his groin and knee issues. Offensive tackle George Fant was a full participant in practice, but was on the injury report due to a knee problem. And left tackle Laramie Tunsil did not practice, but due to rest. 4 Commanders defensive players were on the team's injury report for Wednesday afternoon's practice. Linebacker Bobby Wagner did not practice due to his knee issue. Cornerback Jonathan Jones did not practice due to a rib problem. Edge defender Drake Jackson did not practice due to knee and groin ailments. And edge defender Von Miller did not practice, but due to rest. Also, regarding injury news for the Commanders, they on Wednesday morning announced having placed tight end Zach Ertz on the reserve/injured list. This due to the torn right ACL that he suffered in the 31-0 loss at the Minnesota Vikings this past Sunday afternoon. So your updated list of key Commanders players on the reserve/injured list: tight end Zach Ertz, running back Austin Eckler, receiver Luke McCaffrey, edge defenders Dorrance Armstrong, Dietrich Wise Jr., and Javonte Jean-Baptiste, and cornerbacks Marshawn Lattimore and Trey Amos. I, on Tuesday's show, episode 1214, said that Zach Ertz being done for the season means that it now is step-up time for tight end Ben Sinnott. The Commanders took him in the second round of the 2024 NFL Draft out of Kansas State. He, over 29 NFL regular season games, has just 9 receptions for 69 yards and 2 touchdowns on 9 targets. It is time for the Commanders to get a good idea of what they have in Ben Sinnott. I want to see him over the team's final 4 games of this regular season play a lot and produce. And if he doesn't produce, then yeah, tight end becomes a big-time need for our team this coming season. We on Wednesday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Tashawn Reed of the Washington Post and Dan Quinn.
Obviously, injuries are never a good thing, but for Ben Sinnott, with obviously you guys, losing Zach Ertz for the year with the torn ACL, could this be the opportunity for him to kind of spread his wings a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's a good evaluation by you, and Ben, behind the scenes, as not necessarily behind the scenes, but in the practice, the work that he's put in. And Zach's made a big impact on that. Him and Yankoff both are like guys we see ascending and developing. We feel his speed. We feel his energy to go do that. So it is that moment where you do have, more chances when an injury takes place. So, yeah, you're accurate on that, and we're looking forward to that for him. Don't like the circumstance how it happened, but when it does and you take advantage of it, it's a big deal.
Yes, it is. And what happens with Ben Sinnott or Ben Sinnott is a big deal. He is one of 3 players who the Commanders took in the second round of the 2024 NFL Draft. The Commanders in that draft had 3 second-round picks. The team with those 3 second-round picks took interior defensive lineman Johnny Newton, cornerback Mikey Sainristil, and tight end Ben Sinnott. Right now, it is entirely possible that General Manager Adam Peters whiffed on all 3 of those picks. That's concerning. On Wednesday afternoon, had this exchange between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Dan Quinn.
I guess also as you look forward with some other positions and all that, and we've talked about the young guys playing, et cetera, that 2024, the second and third round picks, you had a lot of those guys. Have you gotten the impact that you feel you've needed from them this year? And I know people don't develop linearly, right? But have you gotten that impact from that group that maybe you need, and what you need to see from them moving forward?
Yeah, I think I don't want to do like an end-of-year assessment, like as we're going this week, but it's really important over the next weeks of what we can do, what we can get done. And so all of, last year's class, this year's class, when we get our chances to go make your mark, you've got to be able to go do that. So we can visit on that postseason, but I think right now I'm just kind of really worried about them developing and playing well in this game.
Yeah, so a not answer from Dan Quinn, understandable, but the lack of impact from Johnny Newton and Ben Sinnott and the regression of Mikey Sainristil are worrisome, no doubt. The corresponding roster moves to the Commanders placing Zach Ertz on injured reserve, with the team signing running back Chase Edmonds from the practice squad to the active roster, and the team signing unrestricted free agent cornerback Kevon Seymour to the practice squad. The Commanders on September 15th as the corresponding roster move to placing Austin Eckler on the reserve/injured list, signed Chase Edmonds as an unrestricted free agent to the practice squad. This season, his age 29 season, he came to the Commanders having played in regular season games for 4 NFL teams, including the Arizona Cardinals over the 2018 through 2021 seasons. Commanders offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury was the Cardinals head coach January 2019 to January 2023. So Chase Edmonds is a Cliff Kingsbury guy, and the Commanders signing Edmonds to the active roster gives the team 4 running backs on the active roster, although, as mentioned, Chris Rodriguez did not practice on Wednesday afternoon due to a groin ailment. By the way, also this past September 15th was the Commanders announcing having signed receiver Chris Moore from the practice squad to the active roster. The team this past Saturday afternoon announced having released Moore, this as the corresponding roster move to the team activating receiver Noah Brown from the reserve/injured list. And the team this past Tuesday afternoon announced having signed Moore to the practice squad and having released receiver River Craycraft from the practice squad. I bring this up because, boy, is it telling that the Commanders released Chris Moore, and yet he was available to be signed to the practice squad. Chris Moore, in this regular season, has played a lot for the Commanders. He has played on 46.73% of the team's offensive snaps. In fact, he has played on the second most number of offensive snaps among Commanders receivers. Only Deebo Samuel Sr. has played more, and yet the Commanders on Saturday released him, and he on Tuesday was available to be signed back by the team to the practice squad. I mean, does that not say a lot about a lot, especially regarding the Commanders' lack of depth at receiver? But let us end this segment with a positive for our team, because we on this show are having to discuss way too many negative things with our team. The Commanders' offensive line remains the biggest positive for the team this season, and not that there are a lot of other positives to choose from, but the Commanders' offensive line remains the biggest positive for the team this season. The Commanders' starting offensive line for each of the team's last 7 games has been Laramie Tunsil at left tackle, Chris Paul at left guard, Tyler Biotish at center, Samuel Cosme at right guard and Josh Connerly Jr. at right tackle. The Commanders for this regular season through Week 14 are number 16 in the NFL in ESPN's pass block win rate and are number 12 in the NFL in ESPN's run block win rate. This has been an upper half of the NFL offensive line. We on Wednesday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Howard Fenrich of the Associated Press and Dan Quinn.
Just going back to the O-line for one sec, would you consider that unit maybe the highlight of this season in terms of the play you've gotten and the fact that, other than Sam at the start, they've been healthy and you've been able to consistently roll out those guys game after game?
Yes, and there's a number of things that I like, certainly, especially in the run game. You know, some of the combination blocks that you've seen, and especially on the left side with Laramie and Chris on some of the double teams and down blocks have been significant. So to see that part elevate, that'd be accurate. And we want to constantly challenge them and, again, hire to take it. But, yes, definitely one of the parts that they've, you know, especially since Sam has come back, you know, remained healthy, and that's a big deal. Like, there's a lot of positions that, you know, Coach doesn't ever say we're all set at. It's O-line and corners and rushers, and so to have those guys stay healthy and getting the continuity together, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and knock on wood, the offensive line in this season of awful injury luck for the team somehow has avoided being hit significantly by injury.
Score holiday gifts everyone wants for way less at your Nordstrom Rack store. Save on UGG, Nike, Rag & Bone, Vince, Frame, Kurt Geiger London, and more.
Because there's always something new.
I'm giving all the gifts this year with that extra 5% off when I use my Nordstrom credit card. Santa who?
Join the Nordy Club at Nordstrom Rack to unlock our best deals. It's easy. Big gifts, big perks. That's why you rack.
Welcome to Walgreens. What can I help you with today?
Hi, I need a last-minute gift for a Secret Santa. Something thoughtful, impressive, not a fruitcake.
We've got Ferrero chocolates, artisan coffees, even a spa kit. Any vibe you're going for?
Whatever says, wow, this guy's great at giving gifts.
How about this premium skincare gift set? Just needs a bow. Will look like you planned it weeks ago.
Well, happy holidays.
Gifts, holiday decor, and more. The holiday road is long. We're with you all the way. Walgreens.
Well, the 2025 MLB Winter Meetings took place in Orlando, Florida, Sunday through Wednesday, and the 2025 MLB Winter Meetings ended with a bang by the Baltimore Orioles. We on Wednesday afternoon had reports that the O's have agreed with free agent first baseman Pete Alonso on a 5-year, $155 million contract. Pete Alonso, the man known as the Polar Bear, is coming to the O's. Joe Angel, legendary former Orioles radio play-by-play announcer. Let me hear from you.
And the Orioles again in the win column.
Thank you, Joe. Good to hear from you, my man. 5 years, $155 million. Works out to an average annual value, an AAV of $31 million. That is the highest AAV for a first baseman in MLB history. Also, the contract marks the second largest contract in Orioles history, trailing only the reported 7-year, $161 million contract to which the O's re-signed first baseman Chris Davis in January 2016. Let us hope that this contract works out better than that contract. Additionally, this contract reportedly does not include an opt-out clause. This is a big offseason for Orioles president of baseball operations and general manager Mike Elias. So the O's in the 2025 regular season went in American League East worst 75-87 with a run differential of minus 111, which was the second worst run differential in the American League. The O's this past season were maybe the single most disappointing team in MLB. Now, injuries had a lot to do with that, as the 2025 Orioles were a lot like the 2025 Washington Commanders. But the O's had plenty of other problems, including a track record of Mike Elias in terms of free agency and trades that wasn't looking so good. Well, now comes a big swing in free agency. to help an Orioles offense that this past season was not good. Pete Alonso was taken by the New York Mets in the second round of the 2016 MLB first-year player draft out of the University of Florida. He over 7 regular seasons with the Mets, 2019 through 2025, totaled 264 home runs, the most in Mets history. The obvious concern with this contract is that it is a 5-year contract for a first baseman, not a premium defensive position, going into his age 31 season. Contracts like this don't usually work out. The 2026 season will be Alonso's age 31 season, so the contract is for his age 31 through age 35 seasons. Also, Alonso in recent seasons has been bad defensively. He, over the 2024 and 2025 regular seasons as a first baseman, totaled minus 12 defensive runs saved per Sports Info Solutions and totaled minus 17 outs above average per StatCast. But Mike Elias is a big analytics person, right? And yet Mike Elias is doing this contract. Why? Well, 3 reasons. A, there is big-time pressure on Mike Elias to have a team that bounces back in the 2026 season. B, there in MLB is an understanding, even among analytics people, that it's okay to overpay if doing so brings you postseason success. And Pete Alonso can very much help the O's when it comes to having postseason success. And C, Pete Alonso could be a first baseman who ages well. He has been exceptionally durable. He, over the 2021 through 2025 regular seasons, played in 790 of a possible 810 games. MLB owners on March 27th, 2024, one day before 2024 opening day, unanimously approved the sale of the Orioles from the Angelos family to a group led by private equity billionaire David Rubenstein. Nice for the O's to now have a controlling owner who is willing to spend. The Philadelphia Phillies on Tuesday night announced having re-signed DH and former Washington Nationals DH Kyle Schwarber. He reportedly got a 5-year, $150 million contract, and the O's reportedly were very much in on Schwarber. In fact, according to MLB insider Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic, the O's matched the Phillies' offer to Schwarber. Well, that money now goes to Pete Alonso. Another aspect of the O's signing Pete Alonso is this. The O's now have an abundance of first basemen, an abundance from which the O's can make a trade for, say, starting pitching, and the 2 players who come to mind are Ryan Mountcastle and Kobe Mayo in terms of guys who the O's could be trading. Could one or both be on the move? This was ESPN MLB insider Jeff Passan on ESPN SportsCenter on Wednesday afternoon on the O's getting Pete Alonso.
It's a deal that came together very quickly. Pete Alonso came here to the winter meetings, met with the Boston Red Sox, met with the Baltimore Orioles, and the deal came together within the last 24 hours, right after Baltimore lost out on Kyle Schwarber, who they had offered 5 years and $150 million. They turn around and they fill a spot in their lineup, a devastating lineup now that includes Gunnar Henderson and Jordan Westburg and Sam Basayo and Adley Rutschman and Dylan Beavers, and you can go on and on about the bats that Baltimore has. They went into this offseason looking to spend money and get out of last place. They hired a new manager, and now they have a guy in Pete Alonso who's as good of a home run hitter as just about anybody in Major League Baseball in the middle of their lineup.
So the O's from 2013 through 2016, remarkably, had the MLB home run champion in each of 4 consecutive regular seasons. 2013, Chris Davis, 53. 2014, Nelson Cruz, 40. 2015, Chris Davis, 47. 2016, Mark Trumbo, 47. And the O's now have one of the best home run hitters in baseball in Pete Alonso. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Friday's show, episode 1217. We'll have much more on the Washington Commanders, in-depth preview of their game at the New York Giants this Sunday afternoon at 1. Also on Friday's show, I'll talk college football as we have Navy versus Army at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore on Saturday afternoon at 3. And on Friday's show, we'll talk Washington Capitals and Virginia Tech basketball. The Caps are home home to the Carolina Hurricanes Thursday night at 7 in a battle of the top two teams in the Eastern Conference. The Hokies are home to Western Carolina Thursday night at 7. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and I'll talk to you on Friday.
For Ben Sinnott.
Hey, it's Lisa Leslie. How did I get here? I prepared for every game and for the years after.
Invest in your future with SPY, the original S&P 500 ETF from State Street, the official ETF partner of the WNBA. Before investing, consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses. Visit statestreet.com/IM for prospectus containing this and other information. Read it carefully. SPY is subject to risks similar to those of stocks. All ETFs are subject to risk, including possible loss of principal. ALPS Distributors, Inc. Distributor.